Well guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Preston. Happy New Year. It's 2026, can you believe it? And now that we got 2025 out of the way and behind us, I kind of wanted to look forward to the year 2026 and do my first ever preview or kind of look ahead at what's coming up on the channel here in the year 2026. I'm going to go through a list of ideas, trip ideas, reviews, and things I just would like to cover here throughout the year 2026 here on Motoring Adventures. It doesn't mean everything will get done on this list. A lot of these are kind of like wish lists or bucket lists, maybe like a mini bucket list. But I did want to kind of give you guys a preview of what's to come and what you have to look forward to. So please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to be notified so you get the latest and greatest update from Motoring Adventures. Had a wonderful New Year's Eve. Me and my dad drove out to Virginia to visit my brother who is stationed out there.
2026
and we got to spend some time with him before he was going to head overseas, but that may or may not be happening now. But it was still a very good trip nonetheless. Good quality time spent with my dad and my brother. And we drove around, got to check out the area. I would have liked to have done some maybe, more off-roading, exploring into some sort of wilderness area, but we crossed the Chesapeake Bay Bridge over into the Delmarva Peninsula, just across from Virginia Beach and Norfolk in that area. So pretty cool. That's one heck of a bridge and tunnel setup. Actually, it was one of the longest, I believe, at one point. But it makes it driving across that 18, 20-mile stretch or however long that water is there makes it a lot quicker than having to drive all the way back up to DC and back down. So I'm all about visiting new places that I haven't been and discovering new things. So that's kind of what's hopefully will be the theme here for the year 2026. So in 2025, it was kind of just a random mix of off-roading, camping trips, combined with some family outings and trips mixed in between, and which is what I've brought you guys over the past few years, and I plan to continue to do so, but I would like to kind of expand the horizons a little bit, maybe venture outside of the state of Texas more, visit areas of Texas that I have not yet been to. Now, when I talk about going outside the state of Texas, I'm talking in terms of doing overlanding or off-roading, camping type of trips. Of course, we've taken some pretty extensive road trips, and I've been all over the country, visited 30-something states, but I want to see those more intimately. I want to see the back roads of those states and the areas that people, that's off the beaten path. So the first place that I would like to knock out here in 2026, and these are in no particular order, is Merus Adventure Park. I feel like a trip out there for me is long overdue. I've known about it for the past few years, just haven't made that trek up to the northwest. It's northwest of where I'm located. I'm located in San Antonio. It's about an 8-hour jaunt to get out there. I just haven't done it. I've been out that way before. I've driven through Amarillo and been through that whole Panhandle area. But Merus just looks, from what I've seen, I mean, so many of you have been out there. It's so many other people have posted videos about it, and it looks awesome. It's like another world. Like, it doesn't even look like what any part of Texas would look like, let alone the flat northern parts of the Panhandle there. That's kind of how canyons are like that. When you go up to the south rim of Grand Canyon, you're driving across a vast flat plateau basically until you get right to that edge. So I imagine that Merus will be kind of the same, and it's supposed to have trails and places to camp and great views. But if I venture northeast a little bit, I think I'll be surprised to discover the Ozarks and the Ouachitas in Arkansas. So that's an area that I'd really like to get to this year. I've seen so much about it. Of course, there's YouTube channels like Matt McClellan's over at Ozark Overland Adventures, who's really documented the Ozarks well. The Ozarks are, I believe, around maybe 9-10 hours from here, so similar to going out to West Texas or Northwest Texas. But the Ouachitas, which are the national forests kind of south of the Ozarks, they don't look as mountainous as the Ozarks do, at least from from topo maps and aerial photos and whatnot. But any place with public land, with dispersed camping, with the landscape in its natural setting is what really attracts me. So the Ozarks, definitely on the list. I have had these 37-inch BF Goodrich mud terrain tires now for over 2 years. They actually started out on my Rubicon 392, and they're a great tire. I had when I traded the 392 for the Power Wagon, I had the dealer swap them over, and because they still had plenty of tread on, I did not want to throw away these tires. And they totally agreed to it, you know, minus a fee that they wanted me to pay. But I think it was totally worth it to hang on to these because they've actually lasted quite a while on this Power Wagon. They have roughly 30,000 miles on the Power Wagon, and I had roughly 20,000 miles on them when I swapped them over from the 392. So I'd like to do kind of a mini review of these, or kind of a pros and cons, because I mean, they're not perfect tires in any way. They have been a really good tire, and it's time to find some new tires for the truck, and I'll go over the reasons why I'm not going to replace this with the same tires. If I had another Jeep 392, I probably would go with this tire again, but I think for this application, heavy-duty truck that also goes off-roading, there is a better tire out there. I'll probably be going with that tire, but I would like to, I want to give these some major props because they have done a lot of work for me over this past couple of years, and especially from what I've asked of them. I mean, they've done everything: road trips, off-roading, rock crawling, they've gone through mud, sands, I mean, just about anything. And not a single tire has had any sort of puncture or any problem, nothing like that. They've been excellent in that regard. But I will be coming out with a pros and cons or review video of the BF Goodrich Mud Terrain KM3 tires here in probably the next month or so, or even less. I also want to go over, if you follow this channel over the past year, you know I used to throw all my overlanding gear into a trailer called the M1102 trailer. It's a military trailer that I used to own, and now I've switched over to having everything fully included on the one vehicle, the Ram Power Wagon. And I want to go over kind of the pros and the cons of using an off-roading trailer versus having it all on just one platform. I'm going to come out with a video talking about that more in depth. And then also just an overall full walk around of the 2022 Ram Power Wagon and my overlanding setup on it. I mean, it's not the most elaborate overlanding setup, but I've said in previous videos, you don't need all this gear to do this and to go out and have a good time, have a good adventure. But I'm sure a lot of you are curious all what I've done to this and why, so I'm going to be coming out with a video for that. In terms of other places I'd like to explore, there's an area that's roughly 9 to 10 hours from here. It's called the Lincoln National Forest, and it's just north of the Guadalupe. It's in the Guadalupe Mountains, but also encompasses an area in New Mexico that's a little further than that. Many of you might know or have heard of the towns of Cloudcroft and Ruidoso, and those are in the Lincoln National Forest. And I've ventured out there before when I had my other Power Wagon, the white 2020 Ram Power Wagon, and that was a good time. But there's so much more out there to explore, and it's really not that much further than some of the places I've gone already. So I believe a trip out to that southern area of Lincoln National Forest, I think, is due, probably depending on what time of year I do it. The southern area, which is closer to like Carlsbad Caverns and Guadalupe Peak, is a little lower in elevation than the other part of the Lincoln National Forest, the one that's up by Cloudcroft and Ruidoso. That's more up in the pine trees, more like above 7,000 to 8,000 feet. So maybe in the warmer months that would be better. So I think a trip out there is due. And I would like to go back out to Big Bend, both the national park and the state park again. Usually in February, it didn't happen last year. Last year we went to East Texas, but my friend Joey and I usually go out to Big Bend, kind of an unofficial tradition we've made. Not sure if it'll happen this time. It may happen, but at the very least, I'd like to go out there again and explore more. I know some of the trails there have been closed recently, like the Black Gap Road at Big Bend National Park's been closed due to the rains they had last summer. But there's also nearby Big Bend Ranch State Park, which I feel like there's a whole lot more out there that we missed, that we just ran out of time and didn't have time to go do. Lots of hiking, lots of very primitive trails out there. So another trip to Big Bend Ranch, definitely want to do. Going to try to knock out this year. Last year, I attended my first overlanding Expo, which was the Austin Outdoor Motorsports Expo. I don't remember the exact name. That was great. It was only about an hour and a half north of here, so really couldn't pass up that one. But it would be great to finally go to Overland Expo West, the one that's held every year in Flagstaff. I've been wanting to do that for a while. I'm originally from the Arizona area, at least in terms of my off-roading. That's where I began the whole off-roading Jeep adventure lifestyle, I guess you could call it. My early years off-roading were in Arizona, so I really would like to attend that. It's like, I think, the biggest one. I mean, they have several. They have like Mountain West and Pacific Northwest and Overland Expo East, and there's even like the Moore Expo that's up in Missouri, I think it is, or Oklahoma. But that one in particular, I would like to go to. Just to, I mean, you just never know what you'll find. It was great seeing the one that was in Austin. There's just so many ideas and gadgets and vehicles. It's just right up my alley. Speaking of Arizona, there's an area that we used to frequent a lot when we lived during our time living in Las Vegas, and that is called the Arizona Strip, or it's the area of Arizona that's between New Mexico and the Grand Canyon. And there's an area there called the Grand Canyon Parashant National Monument. There's tons of just BLM land and public land out there, like hundreds of miles. And it doesn't seem to be really covered that much in the overlanding community, but I mean, a few of you have been out there and showcased it. But there's just amazing, amazing, beautiful country up there. We'd like to go back out there and relive some of those days. One year we ran the Backway to Crown King, which is a trail that goes from like the northwest. It starts just northwest of Phoenix near Lake Pleasant in the Sonoran Desert and runs you up into the semi-higher elevations to this tiny little town called Crown King. It's a very rustic town, it has like this saloon, and it's a whole different topography and geography up there with the pine trees. And that trail is one of my favorite trails. I would love to take this power wagon up there. Ram would take these up on the Backway to Crown King during press releases to show people what the power wagon is capable of. And that's not an easy trail by any means. It's not one of the hardest. It's not like an 8 or 9 out of 10, but I think it's a good solid 5 or 6 out of 10. And there are bypasses, and I think they did take this on some of the bypasses, but pretty decent trail in terms of scenery, in terms of technicality. And it would be a really good test for the Ram Power Wagon. So yeah, if I can get even half of all those things I mentioned done on this channel, I think I'll be pretty happy, or hopefully more than half of those. And then there's other things that'll come up. I know I've been needing to address an issue with the Power Wagon where it sort of sways from when it's loaded down with gear. I think there's this track bar made by Thurin that I can install on this that should help remedy that. So I'm hoping to pick that up sometime here in the early part of the year to help remedy that. It hasn't been that big of an issue. If I keep it under, like 75 miles an hour or so, it doesn't seem to be as much of an issue, but it is kind of just a nuisance or a grievance I have. Also, it has recently hit 60,000 miles, so I think it's time for an updated review on that. But yeah, there'll be all of this and more, hopefully, in the year 2026. Here on Motoring Adventures. Well, that's enough of me rambling. You can talk the talk, but you gotta walk the walk. So let's go out there and make 2026 the best year it can be. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and share this with somebody you think will enjoy it. And we'll see you on the next Motoring Adventure. Take care.